Hey, everybody. Welcome back. It's another episode of the Spartan Shadows podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Chris, and I'm joined with my co-hosts, Zach and Emmett. We're back today, week four-ish of
Yeah.
college football. Spartans moved to 3-0 last weekend against Youngstown State back in East Lansing, and are traveling out west to LA, where Emmett is currently located.
Yes.
We were out in LA for the USC game. USC Saturday, 11 o'clock Eastern, will be the next game for the Spartans. But we're back for a weekly episode. We're going to recap a little bit of the Youngstown State game and then move forward into that USC preview. And we'll wrap that up and then get you into game weekends. Zach, Emmett, thanks for joining me. How you guys doing today?
Doing great, as always. Excited for the game. Excited to stay up until 2 a.m. Sunday morning. I'm sure that you guys are as well. Emmett will be a little bit nicer. It'll probably be 11:30, maybe midnight at that point. So hopefully you'll get over the jet lag at that point now that you're out in California. But no, just excited, obviously, for this game. Excited to see where MSU is at, because I truly feel like this is where you're going to figure out what this MSU team is going to be like. And I feel like depending on how this game goes, there's either going to be a lot more noise on Twitter or there's going to be a lot less noise on Twitter. I'm interested to see which way it goes.
Yeah, I'm doing great. Just obviously a little bit tired. I just got into my hotel about 2 hours ago. We're recording this at 9:44 on Thursday. By the time I got here with public transit and everything, it was about 7 p.m. Eastern time. So I got here 2-3 hours ago. A little tired, but always down to talk some football. And obviously, big matchup coming up. I traveled out here to get to see this firsthand. Thankful for USC for approving my pass, and just very excited to get to see some Michigan State football under the lights. Maybe a little later than all of us wanted, but
Yeah, I would be one to say that. I've had a pretty crazy week outside of all this, so I was looking forward for a chance of maybe a little rest and recovery this weekend, and probably
you're not sleeping.
not Saturday night, so that's all right. We're here for it. Before we get into USC, we'll break down a little bit. MSU last weekend moving to 3-0, beating the Youngstown State Penguins. Final score 41-24. That game, like I said, was last Saturday. Aiden Childs 22 of 29, 270 yards, a touchdown, and unfortunately one interception. That really wasn't his fault. Aiden also added 8 carries for 76 yards in the rushing game. Was actually MSU's leading rusher. And then Nick Marsh had 6 catches for 94 yards in the basically first half, and then was unfortunately pulled out due to an injury. A little bit of an injury update. He did travel to LA with the team today when they left East Lansing, as confirmed by the pictures on Spartan football Twitter, MSU football Twitter. So looks like he's at least joining the squad out west, so that's a pretty good sign. If they knew he wasn't going to play, I don't know if he would have necessarily traveled. So maybe gives us a little glimpse of hope that he'll be able to suit up for Saturday night. But yeah, early takeaways for me, and then I'll let the guys break it down. Youngstown State game was closer than we wanted it to be, probably. MSU did add a touchdown in the fourth quarter to kind of make it as much of a blowout as it was, I guess, on an Elijah Toliver run later in the fourth quarter. But offensively, I thought they looked pretty good. I didn't really have too many qualms with how we played on the offensive end. Defensively, needed maybe a little, or left a little to be desired. We'll say Martin Connington, the field goal kicker, looked good. Ryan Eckley, did Ryan Eckley have to punt? Yeah, he had to punt.
Yeah, he had a 48-meter.
Yeah, that's right. So I would have said he looked good anyways, even if he didn't have to punt. But Ryan Eckley looked good. So special teams good, offensive good. Just some untimely penalties, just inability to get off the field on third down, some drives being extended, a couple of missed assignments, and it kind of let the Penguins hang on around a little bit longer than we all would have liked them to. Definitely something that needs to be cleaned up going into this weekend with Maeva in USC. Definitely going to be probably one of the best quarterbacks that we'll see this year, and something we're going to definitely need to clean up because USC's offense is firing on all cylinders. Guys, what are your thoughts on the Youngstown State game?
Yeah, I think you kind of addressed a lot of it. It's one of those games where obviously at the end of the day, a lot of people weren't obviously super thrilled with how the game went. I know there's been a ton of conversations about how the first three games of Michigan State of how they looked. Obviously, I won't go into too much of my opinion there. But you handled business. One of the biggest concerns that I talked about going into this game was staying healthy. And I feel like that's really the true biggest takeaway from this game, in my opinion, outside of the defense. And you did address the defense part of it, but you're not going to have Luka Vinkic anymore. He's out for the year, I believe.
Yeah.
Smith has confirmed. And then obviously we don't know what Nick Marsh is going to be like. We don't know what Mekhi Frazier is going to be like. We don't necessarily know what Brady Pressoff is going to be like. Those are all kind of unknowns. Now, obviously, we do know that Nick Marsh did travel. I believe Ashton Lepo did travel as well. So that was new that the MSU football Twitter put a picture of him on there as well. So that has been confirmed. But yeah, just really injuries. Obviously, some of these might be longer term injuries. Some of these might be shorter term injuries. We don't necessarily know. We'll obviously find that out on Saturday, depending on if Nick Marsh, Mekhi Frazier, and the other players play that I mentioned.
Yeah, and like Zach said, injuries were the biggest takeaway you can really have. Defense looked a little suspect, but I am giving them slightly a pass because this team rotated 36 or 37 defensive players during the game. And it wasn't just a matter of third quarter and we're up by 17. We're going to throw in the subs. From the second drive of the game, you had Jeremiah Hughes getting reps in at nickel over Ade Willie. You had Marcellus Pulliam and Brady Pretzloff, Samaj Bridgman all playing. They all played honestly over Darius Snow. Snow only played 3 snaps on Saturday. So they were trying to get all the players some rotational reps. So you kind of had that, which in my opinion, led to some of those defensive miscommunications. I believe when the 70-yard run happened that set up Youngstown State's first touchdown, you had Justin Denson in at safety, which Denson is good, but at the same time, he's one of the younger guys. He did not have a great tackle attempt, is the nicest way you can say it, but at the same time, he was forced into a one-on-one against a running back in open field because you had, I believe, Ruquan Buckley, who is defensive tackle 4 or 5 on your depth chart. You had Marcellus Pulliam, who's played about 25 snaps until that point. So you have a lot of guys who just didn't have experience. So then all of a sudden you're putting your safeties who do have experience. Denson played 7 games last year, played a dozen snaps in each of the first 2. Those guys are put in the situation of one-on-one tackling because of some miscommunications up front. So overall, it's hard to judge the defensive performance, and especially when you're not putting your pure ones and pure twos in, you're combining half your ones and half your twos. So there might be even more miscommunication because these guys aren't playing the same reps with each other every day. So that's just one thing that I noted down about it. So that's my defensive, okay, maybe that's my hopium that we're fine. I'll just say we're fine until we are fine, right? But that's your issue, I would say, defensively. So we're going to see when you're playing when you are paring down that group. Joe Rossi did say on Wednesday, hey, we are going to rotate, we're going to limit our defensive substitutions a little now that the season really starts with conference play. So that's just something to note. Like Zach said, injuries were a nightmare. Brady Pretzlov, no idea on his status. Connor Moore, Stanton Ramil, no idea on their statuses. Hopefully they're good to go because by the end of the game on Saturday, you were playing Rustin Young and Rakeem Johnson for the final 5 snaps due to injury. Then you also had Chris Phillips left the game but did return with injury. Same thing with Ramil, so hopefully it was just precautionary. Luka Vinchik likely out for the season. Alante Brown pre-game got injured. The guy cannot buy injury luck. He was ruled as a long-term injury. Jace Clarizio's status was updated to a nagging injury, which multiplies now that Mekhi Frazier is injured. No idea on his status. No idea if he's traveled. There's no pictures of him from either Instagram or Twitter. So we do not know his status now. If not, then you're going to be looking at a rotation of Brandon Tolis and Elijah Tolliver. Maybe Zion Gist, Jackson McCaig, or Darren Jones Jr. at running back 3. No idea on McCaig's status either. He wasn't seen on the sidelines last Saturday too. So there is a lot of concern. You might be playing Jay Coyne at running back and throwing Kyrios, the tight end, at fullback on Saturday night, depending on how that looks. So I'm not trying to overstate, not trying to understate, just there's a lot of unknowns now with that, and part of that situation comes from when you don't put your opponent away, when the defense has a lacking day, which could have been caused by that rotation, like I said, or could have just been the defense is not that great. We don't really know. Regardless, when you're in that situation, then you're playing Mekhi Frazier with 3 minutes to go in the game. You're setting up for that opportunity. Luka Vinkic, that's just a freak accident, got rolled up on. It was in the middle of the second quarter. So that's a situation where no matter how much you were up, unless they put up 9 touchdowns in the first quarter, Luka Vinkic probably played that snap and got rolled up on anyway. That's not a situation like that. Nick Marsh also, it was the first half. Those are first half injuries. Those are going to happen. Those are freak accidents that happen. But the Mekhi Frazier injury in particular, I would say, annoyed me. Connor Moore injury annoyed me. The Connor Moore one happened with like 5 snaps left in the game. Yeah. So overall, those are some injuries that bothered me because you shouldn't be in that situation if you can put away an FCS opponent. I know Youngstown State is top 25 in the FCS. I'm not discounting that. But this is Big Ten football. There's a reason why in my poll, Michigan State went from being ranked 8th preseason to all the way down to 13th because it is hard to get behind. I love this team. I support this team. I bleed green. But it is hard to feel optimistic when you see something like that happen, not putting an FCS opponent away. At the same time, do I think there's a legitimate chance they can beat USC this weekend? Yes. That's why I'm in LA right now. So you don't know which Michigan State team you're going to get, and you don't know if it's rotation, personnel, what the situation is, but we're going to see if the real Michigan State can stand up on Saturday.
I was just going to say we're about to find that out in about 48 hours, at least for some injuries probably. I feel like the injury report will be out by then. And then obviously 49 hours from now, kickoff happens. We'll be watching the game, and let's kind of talk a little bit about USC.
Yep. I was about to say we can segue that with the real MSU. Please stand up. We can segue that into USC.
Yep, and I'm expecting for the game too. Like you said, some of those injuries I think maybe were a little bit of a precautionary holdout. So I'm not going in thinking doom and gloom. All of those players named are going to miss, but we did identify some are long term, some we won't see. I'm hoping like the Connor Moores, the Nick Marsh, that was more of a okay, let's just be careful about this. We can't lose everybody type thing, and like you said with Ramil and Christian Phillips, they were able to come back in. Yes. So hopefully that means they're good to go because, for a minute there, we had 4 of our 5 starting offensive linemen going out, and I'm like, okay, that's not good to have in a game, but
even though you were rotating 9 players, but at the same time, when you lose 4 of them, all of a sudden you're straight back to a 5-man line again.
Exactly. So, and like we said, we're going to need all the help we can get on both offense and defense this weekend. We'll go into the matchup, MSU at USC. Like we said, 11 o'clock kick on Fox, 11 o'clock Eastern, I should say. Current spread is MSU plus 18.5. We are 18.5 point underdogs currently. I believe the line opened at 17.5, so it's moved a little bit in UFC's favor. Over under currently, according to FanDuel, is 54.5. And then the Spartans and Trojans. This will be, I believe, the 9th time they have played together. Let me count: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe both teams are 4-4.
Yep, we're 4-4 against them. MSU has never beaten UCLA in Los Angeles, so that's good to know.
Do you mean USC? I think you said, yeah.
I think UCLA.
Oh, did I say UCLA? Well, I was getting ahead of myself because, they have never beaten USC in LA. Maybe I said that quickly the last time.
Because they beat them in a Rose Bowl?
I said,
it's Pasadena.
In LA. In Pasadena, they have beat them.
Wait.
They've beaten them in the state of California.
Do you know UCLA is in LA? Did you know that? I didn't
Yes,
know
I
that.
did.
Yeah.
I saw it
Did
on
you
there.
also know that they were in the Big Ten?
So, but yeah, so USC being at the Coliseum, I guess we can call it for more clarification. The Spartans are 0-3. The last time they did play was in 1990. And the Spartans have won actually the last 3 meetings. So hopefully maybe that trend can continue. Like I kind of previously mentioned when I was opening up, Jaden Mayava in the offense, the USC offense is very high powered. It was interesting to watch them last week at Purdue. I know it was a West Coast team traveling east, and so that did have maybe some indication on it. They did not put Purdue away for the longest time. They won the game. They took care of business, put up a decent amount of points, but Purdue was able to hang in there pretty easily. So that gave me a little hope that going in there, maybe hopefully healthy, our offense could potentially hang with them. Unfortunate part of that is our defense is the one that's kind of been a little sus of late, and they're going to be up to their full nemesis in Mayava and company. Advanced analytics give the Spartans about a 27% chance to win on Saturday, which is a lot kinder than ESPN's FBI or matchup prediction, which gives the Spartans about a 5% chance to win. Kind of all across the board on what the fancy stats and the talking heads think. Certainly, I'm not going to say MSU should win or is favored to win by any stretch of the imagination. I do see a world where MSU can go in and win if they are able to execute on third down and get off the field on some possessions and kind of keep the big plays in check and maybe force a turnover or two to try to win that turnover battle. Offense is going to have to execute at a high level. They're going to have to put points on the board, and they're going to have to probably try to keep with USC. I think this game, if the Spartans win, it's going to be kind of a shootout. And just a matter of, hey, maybe our defense makes a play or two more than their defense to make the difference if they're going to win. So that's just kind of some quick thoughts on that. I'll let Zach and Emmett give you their takes before we get into our picks and touchdown predictions. So you guys take it away.
Yeah, no, I feel like there's just a lot to go into, and I feel like this is going to be one of those games that if you want MSU to win, or if MSU has a chance to win in this game, I know a lot of people, especially people that focus on defense, hate this term, but it's almost like a bend but don't break defense. Michigan State's going to have to really play because when you look at just the talent on this offense, I know we've talked a lot about Jaden Mayava, which is rightfully so. He hasn't made a single mistake so far. I truly think he's going to probably be one of the best, if not the best, quarterback we play this year for MSU and schedule. You could maybe argue Bryce Underwood. We don't really have to get into that discussion as of right now. But when you come to true talent, I think he's right up there. And then you look on the outside, you look at his weapons, and obviously we all love MSU's weapons, especially wide receiver room. If you want to talk about wide receiver room, just look at what USC is doing. They don't have Branch anymore, but what they do have is Makai Lemon. They have Jacoby Lane. Those two guys are going to be absolutely huge for USC in this game. Like they're going to be really targeting them throughout this game. And then if you want to talk about one matchup I'm going to really keep an eye on is the linebacker safeties up against the tight end. They have Lake McCree. He only has 7 receptions on this year, but he has 173 yards for the season, 1 touchdown, and we've seen MSU have issues covering tight ends, especially with linebackers in the past. Now, obviously, you have Jordan Hall. He's been a little better. You also have Wayne Matthews. I think he's going to need to be better. That's going to be a matchup that I'm going to kind of keep an eye on for. And one matchup that a lot of people I don't feel like are talking enough about because of how much offense and just how much talent USC has is this run game for USC. USC has always been more of a finesse team. That's why I felt like USC really kind of struggled when they first got into the Big Ten because they're getting used to playing physical football. We're not the Pac-12 football where it's a shootout anymore. They finally have those big offensive linemen. They have running backs that has been pretty good this year, and one of those guys, leading rusher, is Wayman Jordan. USC has been good at allowing teams to not stuff them. And that's been one of the biggest strengths that MSU has had is stuff rate. If you looked at what Alex Van Sumeren has, Gray Kelly has done, like MSU's been really good at stopping the run. If you want to win this game, one, you're going to have to probably do a bend but don't break defense. Two, you're going to probably have to force some turnovers. Three, if they get in the red zone, force field goals, not touchdowns. And lastly, stop the run. Because if USC is going to run the ball effectively, just imagine what they can do it through the air when they run the ball effectively. It's going to be a long night at that point. So if I'm Joe Rossi, trying to come up with something, you're going to honestly need a master game plan from Joe Rossi. If you can stop the run, force Jordan Mailata to make a mistake, maybe you can get enough stops to give your offense a chance.
Yeah, and then it's funny that, Zach, you pointed out the tight end linebacker matchup for USC and Michigan State, because I had the same thing circled on the other hand. I don't think USC has faced the tight end duo like Masunas and Velling, and you can throw Savory in there too with his. I mean, yes, it's one catch for 16 yards. We can't get too excited about that, but from what they're saying on, with Michigan State, they genuinely believe Savory is that tight end of the future. So you have those three. You have Parachek as well. Can't go without, mentioning him. So you have a good tight end attack for MSU, which I think that could be one of those weapons where as good as Jaden Mailata has been, Aiden Childs has also been having a very resurgent year compared to what he had to start the season last year. So I think that it is going to be a quarterback's game, whichever quarterback really makes a mistake first, or if it's a receiver with the drop first, it's going to be a matter of that. So it's going to be Omari Kelly, Nick Marsh, and Aiden Childs, and then Velling and Masunas. Those guys, I think, are going to decide the game. Because I don't know about this Michigan State run game. I think Youngstown State was extremely aggressive with stopping the run, selling out on everything. Every play action pass, almost every MSU wide receiver had about 8 yards of separation after that. So this was a very aggressive Penguins defense, but at the same time, you can't look past Mekhi Frazier having, I believe, like 30 yards before he had that last drive where he got injured. Elijah Tauber wasn't looking that good before his 23-yard run, which I think was planned by Youngstown to allow. And then I know Tolis didn't necessarily have the best game until the final drive or two also. So I don't think that I don't know how the run game is going to look against USC because, frankly, it didn't look good against Youngstown, but if they were sending 8 guys every time you looked at the running back, that's one thing. So I think MSU, they will have to walk into this, especially their offense, knowing that it's probably going to be a track meet. You are going to have to put up 35 minimum to beat this USC team, in my opinion. I think on a good day, you get a stop and a fluke play or two with an interception or a fumble. I think that USC still probably puts up 31 points. I just think, and this is no hate on the MSU defense, I think the USC offense is that good. So I think you have to know that coming into this, 35-31 might be your path to winning. You have to come in knowing 5 touchdowns. If we can get 5 touchdowns on the board, we have a chance. And obviously, every team wants to put up 5 touchdowns in 5 drives. So you just have to find a way to execute. So you're going to need to see a Lindgren masterclass. You're going to need to see a Rossi masterclass. Or at least something like what he did in the second half against Boston College when he held him to 6 points.
Yep.
So that is kind of my keys to victory for Michigan State is Zach focused on what USC did good. I'll focus on what MSU has to do good. They have to find. They have to. It's spreading the ball out. Whether we see Aiden Childs have 45 dropbacks on Saturday night, or if we see this run game, say Mekhi Frazier's healthy. If we can see this run game start to get good gashes in and hit him with play action, then you're going to have good results. But there is a lot to be proven by this Michigan State offense if they are legitimate. In my opinion, I said this in the group chat. I think that Michigan State, their offense, this might be the best offensive skill set personnel that we have had since the Connor Cook years, or at least the 10-3 year in 2017 when you had Felton, Cody White, Daryl Stewart, that group. This might be the best group you've had since that minimum. Maybe even the best offensive group you've had since Connor Cook.
And that 17 group led by a friend of the podcast, Brian Lewerke, of course. But yeah, no, I agree with Emmett. It's going to take points. You're going to need 6 or 7 touchdowns probably from the Spartans. And then...
I did say it.
and then Yeah, I think Aiden Childs is actually going to be the most important thing to me this game. I think he's going to have to make some plays with his legs like he did in the Youngstown State game. I'm not saying he's going to need to put 75, 80 yards of rushing up. That would be great if he could. Being able to extend plays, flush the pocket when needed, when it's breaking down, and kind of get out and scramble a little bit. That's going to be a big key. I could see even maybe adding a rushing touchdown in the game, and so if he's able to do that, limit the mistakes, I think the Spartans are going to be able to execute, and they're going to need to. Other underrated thing I'll add to the before we go to our picks. Aiden Childs chose MSU in the transfer portal over USC. There's no secret. He's a California kid. He likes USC. He thought about maybe going to USC with Lincoln Riley. This game could mean something for him, and he wants to prove that he made the right decision and stuck it out with Coach Smith. And Coach Smith and all his California ties as well. He wants to go back and light some fire under the Trojans. So I think this will be a good game. I think it has the potential to be a fun game. I'll throw us into some picks here. As I said, you'll see the Shadows article coming out with some staff predictions. I think it's going to be a close game. I do think MSU covers the spread. I don't know if they're going to win it, though. I think I said 38-30 USC. I think the Spartans keep it close. I don't know if they've got enough juice. I feel decent about our chances. I'm probably higher on our chances than most MSU fans, judging by Twitter this week. I decided to not go into my soapbox rant about that yet. We'll maybe address that later. But this is going to be a tough game. There's no joke about it, and I don't know if the defense can make enough stops to overcome what USC's offense is going to put up. And unfortunately, when that happens, you rely on your offense to play perfectly. Kind of like an example in reverse today, the Tigers relied on Tarek Skubal to completely win them a game, and he gave up one run and it just couldn't do it. So it puts a lot of pressure on your offense, and if one drop or one tipped ball like Aiden had last week falls into the wrong hands, then that's really going to put the Spartans behind the eight ball. So I'll say 38-30 USC wins this one. I hope I'm wrong. As for MSU first touchdown scorer, actually give me Aiden Childs with his legs. I'll take that.
Oh,
Nice. So I'll go 37-27 USC. I think this is going to be one of those games where at the end of the day, I hate the idea, and I know a lot of fans hate the idea of coming away from a loss with, I don't want to say momentum, but coming away with a loss with feeling like MSU has improved or that this is different than what we've seen from MSU. And obviously, no one likes to lose, right? Like, none of us would probably be very happy in that, but it's almost like you just want to feel like MSU belongs on the field. It's been a long time since you faced a top 25 team where it's felt like MSU belonged on the field. Maybe MSU isn't exactly where it needs to be to get to that point, to go out west, to be a top 25 team. We don't know. Maybe it does happen. But if you at least feel like you belong on the field, which I feel like if it's a 37-27 point game, you can kind of see things starting to work. And I don't know what that's going to do with the conversation about Jonathan Smith. I don't know what that's going to do with the fan base. But, like, if you're at that point, I feel like you're seeing kind of the team take that next step. And the step after that would be obviously winning it. But just imagine if MSU wins this game. Like, we can have a full-on discussion at that point. But things get real interesting at that point if that does happen, if you look at their rest of their schedule. Like, if that happens, we can talk about some possibilities at that point. Not going to go there as of yet. But for first touchdown, I'm going back to a place that I have always belonged at. And this player had a great game last week. So if he has a bad game this week, blame me for it. No, don't really blame me. Please don't. But Jack Belling.
hey, you were right about a Masunas touchdown. It was just an
I was
anytime
right.
touchdown. It wasn't a first touchdown. As we all expected, Rod Bullard rushing touchdown, first one. That was all the second option for all of us. We just decided it would be too obvious before the podcast last week, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but building on what Chris and Zach said, maybe I'm a little more pessimistic. I have this as MSU 28, USC 45, and that's more. It's a 10-point game. USC gets a touchdown late to ice it right before like the 2-minute warning. Well, 2-minute timeout. Sorry, NFL, don't sue us. But yeah, I think USC gets that late touchdown to put him away, kind of like how MSU put away Youngstown State last weekend. But I do think that MSU, because Zach said that MSU hasn't really shown that they belong on the national level. I would say Ohio State last year, that first half, they kind of showed that they belonged. I think you see a lot more of a complete game where they belong on that level this Saturday. I don't necessarily know if you're gonna. I think you put 3 quarters together. I think you might make it into the fourth, and it might be a 3-point game. It might be a 7-point game. But I don't know if that defense is going to be able to hold on when you have Nakai Martinez still getting back to full strength with reps. You have just a defensive line that, honestly, I think there's been some fan frustration over not doing enough in the portal as of you. So I think that could be a problem that gets exposed on Saturday night, and that lack of pressure, if there's a lack of pressure, that could be the thing that keeps MSU from getting over that hump and getting this big win on a national stage. We did see MSU go and put a second half together for the first time in the entire Smith era tenure against BC. So you could see that happen, but I just don't think that on the road, 11 at night, I don't think that that's going to happen when the fourth quarter is going to be starting at 2, 3 in the morning. It's a Fox game, 3 in the morning, for 3 in the morning for the time for those college kids. Obviously, they're used to staying up late, but playing football that late, I do think is a different animal. I know RJ Shelton said on the Locked On Spartans podcast with Sheehan that, yeah, college RJ would play whenever. I do think there's a difference in saying and doing, and that's no shade at RJ. He knows more about college football than I ever will. But I just think there is going to be a slight difference when you're playing the fourth quarter of a game at dang near 3 a.m. local. And I
What's
think
your
you might
prediction
be
for? What's your prediction?
First touchdown. Well, 2 of the obvious ones are questionable with Frazier and Marsh. You already took Childs, Chris, and Zach took Velling, so it really leads me to Masunas or Kelly. And I'm going to give the shot to Omari Kelly.
You could take Marsh or Frazier.
I'm going to go with Omari Kelly just because he's looked explosive. The first quarter, he's kind of on some weird behavior, I would say, in his own terms. He said it a little more explicit than that, but yeah, just he's on his weird behavior. Maybe that weird behavior pays off on Saturday night, and he goes and gets a punt return touchdown. I'll say receiving touchdown, but I'm just gonna throw punt return touchdown out there, or get real crazy and say Krishawn McCray kick return touchdown.
I was gonna say go opening kickoff return touchdown. Why not?
Olante's out long term though, or else I would definitely say Cadillac's an option. Oh yeah, Krishawn can do it. I just think Cadillac every time he returns a kick, it's actually something to watch.
Yeah, he's a great kick returner.
Even when he was only returning for 30 yards last year, every time he touched the ball, I was locked in and paying attention to him because he just is explosive on that kick return.
Yeah, absolutely.
No more Brandon Sowers. No disrespect to Brandon Sowers, but no more Brandon Sowers.
No, don't worry. We have Grant Stewart returning kicks for the Lions to watch on Sundays instead.
Yeah, I mean, we could always mimic him. Jordan Hall can go back and return some kicks. Why not?
We have Sam Edwards back there already. What you mean?
2 linebackers. Let's do it. All right. Well, there you have it. That's been, I guess, the recap preview for this week. We appreciate everybody tuning in. We are very sorry about our special guest episode that we were going to post last week. I had a heck of a battle with some technical issues and had to get with Riverside to get them fixed. That is good to go. It's coming soon, as soon as in Monday. I think we're going to have that posted. It is edited and ready to go, so I can say that and feel semi-confident that it's actually going to be Monday. So it was a lot of fun to record. I'm not going to reveal the guest yet, but I think it's something you guys may like. A lot of expert ball knowledge being talked, and I think it was a good change of pace with some of just the game in and game out content. It was good to speak to this person in their football mind. So look for that on Monday. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll let you know when it's coming out, and we'll preview it a little bit. And then we'll be back next week for our usual episode. Is MSU's bye week next week?
MSU is on the bye next week, so we'll have a recap, and we'll probably do a recap, and we'll probably try to get other sports. Basketball just announced their conference schedule, and we still have to talk about their out of conference schedule. Hockey has their entire schedule out too, so we'll probably discuss upcoming schedules for those 2 fall programs, as well as maybe a small fall sports recap for soccer, men's and women's, and then the like for that. We would probably end up doing that
Yep.
over the
It kind of worked out perfectly because we had been not getting a ton of news for basketball and hockey, and then some stuff would come in, but not enough to maybe make a whole segment on. But now we probably got enough to make a decent amount of a podcast on. So we'll do
that said, Josiah Jervis, if you're watching this, commit to embassy.
Yes, that'd be great.
Yes,
some visit recaps.
We'll make an emergency pod for you and everything.
Absolutely. Yep. And then, of course, Saturday, maybe not right after the game, but maybe Sunday morning, Saturday evening. We'll see. Obviously, follow Emmett for the in-game content, and then we'll have reactions and some stuff to follow. Maybe Sunday morning, but we'll see how the weekend goes. So,
Not Chris. You're staying up, and I'm sending you the stuff from USC. I'm sending you to upload.
I'll be up. I just I don't know for how much longer after the game, but I'll be up for at least the game duration. So, all right. Well, that's it for us this week. We appreciate everybody tuning in like always. Follow us all on socials and everything. We'll have everything updated. Any questions, comments, concerns, let us know in the comments or on socials or at SpartanShadowsPodcast@gmail.com. And yeah, we appreciate everybody and wish crossing our fingers for good luck on Saturday. So we'll see everybody then. Go Green.
Go White.